All right, I'm just going to do a little things to know on how on the Honda CRV air conditioning problems they might have. You might have watched a couple other videos. This one will help you a little bit to make your decisions on what to do. Commonly enough, these thermal switches go out on these air conditioning compressors, and you can order one of these. It takes a while to get. It took about a week to get it. And then after I got it and found out how difficult it was to put on, it looks pretty easy on some of the videos, but I'll tell you right now, trying to plug this thing in right here, you're going to be using like a pair of needle nose vice grips like that and maneuvering your finger up in there to hold it in place to try and shove that back in the hole. And when I did mine trying to unplug it, I ended up probably breaking the wire in here, and I had to replace the compressor anyway. So my thing is if you really don't want to have a problem and you want to make this a little easier on yourself, order the compressor and just replace it. The new compressor comes with it. That's what I ended up doing anyway on mine. So after waiting a week for this part, trying to save money, I ended up spending the extra money and having to buy a compressor as well and take it out of the car and do it twice. So save yourself from doing it twice. You might want to just buy a compressor. I was able to pick up at a local parts supply, parts authority, if you're in somewhere where they have one and you just ask them for the shop discount. I was able to pick up a original equipment Sandan compressor for $260. This part ordered was around $100, and to me, you know, to save yourself some hassle, it is much easier to replace the compressor than it is to replace this thing. This thing's very difficult to get out of the hole. Getting this little thing out from underneath this bracket is very tight in the hole, and again, and it's in a tight spot in there. Connecting this wire back up was, you know, it just took, you know what, it took more time to remove this wire and replace this wire than it did to do the whole compressor. So time is money. If you want to do it, go for it. But if you want to save some time, you can do that. Of course, you do these things at your own risk. I'm going to throw in something else that if you wanted to do this, it would probably work. If you just wanted your compressor, your AC system to work either temporarily, or you just didn't want to worry about having a temperature overheat switch, most compressors on most cars that I've ever worked on, and I've worked on hundreds and hundreds of different models. I worked on Sandan compressors and all this stuff, air conditioning, back into the early 80s, mid 80s. Okay, none of them have ever had a thermal switch on the compressor. So if you wanted to bypass this, all you need to do was take these two wires right here, strip them down, and then pretty easily in there you could reach in and use either a crimp connector, or if you really want to do it kind of the pro mouse method, you could probably just put on a wire net on there holding those two wires together, and your air would probably start working again to save yourself the hassle. Because what it is, it's a normally closed circuit. Okay, this is normally closed, and if those wires are connected together, the computer should recognize that the thermal switch is not overheating, and again, they are faulty and they end up going bad. And usually the compressor isn't overheating. It's just an over-engineered thing, in my opinion. But again, do that at your own risk. If it burns up and eventually burns up and wipes out and puts metal shavings in your whole system, I would think that would be highly unlikely. But if it did, you know, that's all on you. A little shortcut method that I would try if it was me doing this again, I think I'd probably just do that myself. But if you're looking to do it right, I would just say do it once, replace the compressor, get an original equipment one. Again, this is a Sandan unit. That's what comes in it, Sandan. And you know, I got an original equipment one for $260. You know, it's, to me, not worth the hassle of trying to change this thing out and waiting all the time that it took to get this cord in the mail, which was not designed exactly the same as the original. If you notice, the wires didn't quite reach. So, yeah. I wasn't really happy with that. Anyway, I decided to make this video for you. Another quick thing. I noticed the most difficult and poorly engineered thing that they have on this car is why the hell did they put the belt adjuster down in this hole? So to get to it, it's down there. Yeah, I wasn't real happy with that. That's the hardest part about the job, is actually putting the belt back on. I had to take off, this thing just slides off, and then I had to take this bracket loose to really get in there, you know, get my hands in there pretty good. And then, of course, the bolts, when they fall to the, you know, hopefully they fall to the ground. Stuff is, you know, be very careful taking off these. One of mine fell down in here, and it's a Never Never Land. I don't know how I'm going to get it out, but, you know, these caps, be very careful taking them off. Don't drop them, because that one comes off really quick. The threads come up too quickly on it. I was expecting a couple more threads, and the thing just dropped out of my hand and went down to Never Never Land. Can't get it out. But a quick thing to get in here is to take one wrench, put it on, take another wrench and put it over the other wrench like that, so that you can have leverage. I think you pull it this direction. So you just hook your wrench over the other wrench. That seems to be the easiest method to get the adjuster loose, because it is very tight. The spring load on that's really tight. So you got to have it held pretty good, and then sliding. I haven't done it yet, but it seems like you put everything on except for this, and then put this over the power steering pump pulley last. So anyway, a little piece of advice there. Again, do this at your own risk. If you're thinking about some of these ideas, there's just a couple things I'm throwing out there to maybe help you. If you're in an emergency situation, your air doesn't work, you're pretty sure your thermal switch is bad, you know, bypassing it wouldn't be that tough to do, and it could be so for some people it might be a permanent repair. You know, it's again up to you. But you know, because I don't think I've ever seen any other car on the face of the earth that has a thermal switch on the AC. I think that's kind of overkill engineering. Maybe it was to protect them from something they had a problem with in the earlier models, because I think they had issues with air conditioning pumps freezing up or something like that. If you read forums on that, maybe you'll find the same thing. All right, talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Good luck with your CRV.